Okay, one of the first things we talked about yesterday was the whole pick holding. So what I'm going to do is share a link to a fairly old video I did where the camera quality was much worse than it is now. Basically showing the same thing we did last night, but you get a top-down view so you can see the pick a bit better. It also talks about pinch harmonics in there. So, got three things, and we are focused on the new dotted half note rhythm. Plus, I noticed it seemed like you had a bit of trouble going from the open E5 to something else. So we're going to be focusing on that for a couple of these as well. Now, we also talked about the whole muting aspect, like where to put your hand, whatnot. Because of what we're doing here for the new things, you really don't have any muting that has to be done with that picking hand. I would just get in the habit of making sure that it is not past the bridge, like to the right of it. You want it passed this way. So a good place to aim your pick, just to get in the habit of making sure your right hand is far enough over to the left, is strum over the neck pickup. If you're strumming over the neck pickup, your right hand's definitely in a good place to mute the low strings when you start playing all the high-pitched stuff. So for the chords, I didn't hear any muting issues that needed to be addressed, so that seems to be fine. And because of that, I'm not going to go any further with muting until we have to, because if we have too many things to think about, well, we have less chance of success. So with this, I do have some instruction on what we're going to be doing. Let me bring this up. There we go. Okay. This is the same for all three. And this is going to be the approach for almost anything that we do. Like maybe 90% of the stuff we do. There's always an exception here and there. It really depends on the person, how the lessons end up developing, how it evolves, all that stuff. But for the most part, this is the approach. You're going to spend 10 minutes getting this as fast as you can. Yes, starting at 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, and so on. Do not play this with the repeats to begin with. So we got the repeat symbols in here. So basically, this is telling you to play it twice. Well, when you're working this up, do not do the repeats. We don't want that yet. We're going to save the repeat for later, after you get fast, or fast-ish, or, well, I'm about to cover that. So, as you read in that ebook, you only increase the speed if you are proud of how that thing sounds. If that's good enough to be on an album, that's the kind of quality we're going for. We do not want several repetitions of it and before going on. One and done, that's it. Was that good enough to be on your album? If the answer is yes, then move up. If the answer is no, fix it. The other thing is, let's say, for example, going from this, whoops, I'm going to bring it down here. Going from this E5 to the G5, perhaps that's a place where a mistake will happen. And I'm only pointing that out because we got to talk about this somehow. If and when a mistake happens, mistakes are part of the process, they're going to happen. I still make mistakes. I've been playing for over 20 years, and I'll continue to make mistakes for another 20. What you do when the mistake happens is the important thing. So let's say you're playing through this, you goof up going from the E5 to the G5. Well, the mistake people make is they just keep going and then try again. So they'll try and finish it, or they'll try and do extra repetitions until it's correct. That is a very, very, very bad way of doing it. In fact, it's a terrible way of doing it. Don't do that. We do not want to do that. If a mistake happens, when a mistake happens, we need to address it right then and there. Do not just keep playing on as if it was band practice. Band practice mistakes, sure, you have to continue on because you need to know the song and the material well enough so you can pick up after you goof it on stage. But for this stuff, because we're focused on technique, we're focused on getting the rhythm correct, do not allow mistakes to be unaddressed. Unaddressed, is that a word? In other words, if a mistake happens, stop, try again. Because if we just keep allowing mistakes to happen over and over and over again, you just practice a bunch of mistakes. Practice makes perfect is not true. Only perfect practice makes perfect. Practice makes permanent. So if you continue to practice with mistakes, all you're doing is making the mistakes that much harder to get rid of. So let's say you goof up going from the E5 to the G5. Well, I'll try it again from the beginning of the progression. After 3 times of making the same mistake, focus on exactly where that mistake is. So if you need to just practice going between the E5 and G5, that's fine. Get that smoothed out. Get comfortable with it. Whatever the mistake is, wherever the mistake is, focus on that if it continues to happen. So like I said, like you're working on something, like maybe one of the scales that you're doing on your own. If the mistake happens in the same place like 3 times in a row, or maybe not even in a row, but you notice you keep making the mistake in a specific spot, just focus on that one spot, get that polished up, and then go back to the start, put everything together. So the big takeaway here is don't allow mistakes to just be there. We have to fix them immediately. So yeah, spend 10 minutes getting as fast as you can, doing the whole start at 60 and go up by 5s every time you play it correct. So do not practice any of these with the repeats yet. It says once you have reached 10 minutes, then you add in the repeats and try to work up to 4 repetitions. If you find that you can't get the repeats in at a fast speed, let's say, for example, after 10 minutes you are at 200 beats per minute. Get one last good take after that 10 minutes hits, and then try and play through this thing twice, and then try and play through it 3 times, and then try getting 4. If you're having a really tough time getting the repeats in at the speed you reached after the 10 minutes, go ahead and decrease the metronome. That's totally fine. If you need to slow it down in order to get the repeats, do that. So spend like 5 minutes for that part at the most. So I don't want you to spend more than 15 minutes, okay? Because it's important we have equal amount of time for all these things. We don't want to do overkill, like spend 30 minutes on one thing, 10 on another, and 2 minutes on the last one. We want 10 to 15 for all 3. 10 to 15 for all 3. Now, if you feel you have maxed out in less than 10 minutes time, then decrease the metronome by 10 or 20 and start adding in the repeats. So I say that, like, don't even bother trying to add in repetitions if you've maxed out in less than 10 minutes, because if you have reached a true max with that short thing, the chances of hitting repetitions, especially 4 of them, it's like next to impossible. So in order to be more efficient with our time, let's say you reached 300 after 8.5 minutes, and that 300 was just absolute, it was a grind, man. You had to really bust your butt to get that speed, and then you finally get it. Drop it to like 280 and try and add in some repeats there. Now, how do you know you've maxed out? Kind of just mentioned that. If it takes you like 1, 2, even 3 minutes of really, really struggling, and then you finally get that take, that's it, you're done. That's it. When it starts to get really, really difficult, and it takes several repetitions or several attempts to get it, that's it, you're done. Usually my rule of thumb is if it takes 1 or 2 minutes to finally get it, that's it, call it a day, and move on to the next step or the next exercise. Well, in this case, it would be adding in the repeats. And then, yes, continue to decrease the metronome speed if need be in order to achieve the repetitions. So hopefully all that makes sense. Definitely let me know if you have questions with that. So that's the overview of what we're going to do here. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate all these at some different speeds so you can hear and see how it's all supposed to go. I will play these without the repeats, but for number 1, just to show how it should be with the repeat, I will do that for number 1 at the higher speed. If you ever need or would like to see repetitions done on one of these videos, just let me know. The last thing before I start playing here, if you reach 240 with any of these before the next class. Make a video, send that over. Show me that you hit the 240 or faster, because if you get up going faster than 240, that's great too. But what you could do, my suggestion is, once you're going for that 240, put the camera on. Start recording it then and there, because if you hit that, we don't want to throw that away. So show me that you can do it at 240 and we'll move on, okay? Because if you're able to move on in less time, we'll definitely do that. Okay, so I'm going to count off 4 beats so you know when I'm going to begin, so you can follow along. You absolutely can play along with Guitar Pro as well. But here we go. 60 beats per minute. We got that dotted half note. So we got first chord, the quarter note plays on beat 1. This will play on beat 2 and ring out across beats 3 and 4. So I'm going to count all 4 beats, and I'm going to do it for definitely the slow speed, the medium speed, and a bit of the fast speed. So getting in the habit of counting along when you're playing is going to be very helpful, so you can not only be able to play really challenging rhythms if you want to, but you'll be able to use Guitar Pro or whatnot to transcribe your own stuff more easily. Because if you can say a bunch of rhythms, then you'll be able to hear other rhythms better, understand it, and then that'll translate to the stuff that you write and record and all that. So, all right, gonna count 4, 60 beats per minute. Here we go. 1, 2, tap your foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. Now, even though that last chord is a whole note, you don't need to let it ring out for the full 4 beats. Just hit it and be done. It's just easier to fill it out with a whole note than rest cymbals. So just hit that last chord and you're finished. 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, and with the repeat, just to make sure you understand that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be twice through, and of course, then try. So do the 2 times through first, then try for the 3. After you get to 3, then go for the 4. All right, number 2. So now we begin with the dotted half note. So that rings out across beats 1, 2, and 3. And this plays on beat 4. 60 beats per minute. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. I feel like I totally screwed that up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Good Lord, I can't play chords. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There. Good Lordy Lord. 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And number 3. So another symbol here. So what we got is a tie. So we have this chord tied across the bar line. So anytime you see tablature notes in parentheses like this, you are not going to play anything. Typically, it means the notes are ringing out from something else. And in this case, it's ringing out from that beat right there. So we got quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note tied to another quarter note. So you play on beats 1, 2, 3, 4. That chord is going to ring out across beats 4 and 1 of the next bar. And then we follow the same pattern after that. So that plays on beat 2, 3, and 4. Sorry, I remembered this wrong. I wrote it not, I don't know, what, an hour ago? And I'm finally getting to playing it. Anyway, we actually have the rhythm set up here like this. So you got this rhythm is repeated here. Chords are a bit different. But anyway, so we got playing on beats 1, 2, 3, 4. That rings out across the first beat of the next bar. Then we play on beats 2, 3, and 4 again. Here we play on beats 1, 2, 3, 4. This chord rings out across beat 1 of the next bar, and then play on beats 2, 3, and 4. So basically, we're strumming on every beat except the first beat of bars 2 and 4. So it's going to sound like this. Let's see if I can do this without making mistakes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. 120. A 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And yeah, this is almost a 20-minute video here. I think it's probably best cut it there. So quick question though, have you begun to look at those 3-note per string scale shapes? Do you have any questions on how to read that scale sheet that I sent you? I think I sent it to you. If I didn't, please let me know. I'm pretty sure I sent it though. Yeah, we'll want to go over that too. But we'll stop here. If you have any questions with this material, please let me know. And remember, 240 beats per minute. Make a video, send it over, and we'll move on sooner if we can. All right, we'll see you next week.